Good morning, everyone. Today is January 8th, 2026. We are meeting in person and virtually today at the Washington State Liquor and Cannabis Board. It is 9:32 a.m. Today's meeting will be recorded. We encourage the public to provide comments specific to items on the meeting agenda. The public comment guidelines are posted on our website. Those guidelines indicate the various ways you can let us know in advance of the meeting that you wish to provide public comment at the meeting. Those providing public comment at today's meeting will be notified us by 5 p.m. Wednesday or signed in person at LCB within 15 minutes of the start of the meeting. No one has indicated that they wish to provide public comment at today's meeting. Written comments on today's agenda items should have been received by the close of business yesterday, January 7th, 2026. No written comments were received. The chat feature has been turned off. If you have technical difficulties, please email us at askus@wsgc.wa.gov. We will now begin the meeting. I'm going to start calling roll. Okay, I noticed that Chair is not on here. Chair Levy?
Yeah, present, thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Lawson is here. Commissioner Charles?
Present.
Commissioner Skartvedt?
Present.
Welcome, Commissioner Skartvedt.
Thank you. Here.
Do we have ex-officios on? Senator Conway? Don't see him. Senator Holy? Okay. Representative Kloba?
Good morning.
Morning. Representative Waters? Okay. Was Senator Conway on earlier?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, Senator Conway. Good morning.
You haven't turned on our videos at all. You know, my video is off, my mic was off, so someone needs to bring us on board here. Thank you.
You should be good to go now, sir.
Thank you. By the way, I need to leave at 10:20 for a doctor's appointment, so if I'm not here for the second vote, I apologize.
Okay. And we don't have Senator Holy or Representative Waters? Okay. With that, we will start with tab 1, Proposed Tribal Gaming Compact Amendment Hearing with the Port Gallum Squalum Tribe.
Good morning, Commissioners Ex-Officios, Tina Griffin, Director, Family Commission. Today we have compact amendments to bring to you for vote and public hearing. And so we'll go ahead and get the presentation on screen.
Sorry, one moment.
And then if we can go to the next slide, please. And the next slide. So I'm going to go ahead and just give a basic overview of the compacting process and IGRA, which sets the framework for the compacting process. If we can just go back to the last slide, I know Vice Chair mentioned that we do have a new 4th commissioner. So today we welcome Commissioner Noah Skartvedt, and so he was appointed on November 26th and will serve through June 30th of 2031. And so we still have one vacancy left. We are working with the governor's office for an appointment soon. Chair Levy serves as chair to the commission, and we have Vice Chair Lawson as vice chair through June 30th of this year for their terms. And their terms as in those positions, not necessarily their appointment terms. So then we go to the next slide, please. We have 4 ex-officios, Senator Conway, Senator Holy, Representative Klova, and Representative Waters. And today they will be voting on the compact amendments. By statute, they do have a vote in compact amendment processes. So we'll talk a little bit more about that in a few minutes. So if we can go to the next slide, please. In 1988, the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act was established. The core goal of IGRA is to promote lawful and protected gaming activities for the purpose of promoting tribal economic development, self-determination, and strong tribal governments. IGRA sets the framework for which tribes and states can negotiate Class 3 gaming on tribal lands to include activities permitted by the state and when conducted in conformance with the tribal state compacts. Next slide, please. IGRA outlines what the tribes and the states can negotiate into the compacts. Those topics can include the type of gaming activities, criminal and civil jurisdiction, fees for state regulation, standards of operation. Next slide, please. Tribal gaming provides tribal governments the funds necessary to build and sustain their governmental infrastructure. IGRA requires states to negotiate in good faith when negotiations are requested by a tribe. Next slide, please. The tribe and the state share public protection interests, which go back to the core goals of IGRA. So the tribal state compacts address these shared public protection interests to ensure that there is no criminal involvement in the gambling activity, to ensure that gaming is fair and honest and limited to those authorized activities, as well as to minimize the negative impacts on emergency services. Next slide, please. So the compact amendment process is a long process. Once the request is sent to the governor for negotiation requests by a tribe, the governor then can refer that request to the agency, for which then I negotiate with the tribe on behalf of the state, which is outlined in statute, and certainly take direction from state policymakers through that negotiation process. Once we reach a proposed and tentative agreement on compact amendment, those proposed amendments are submitted to, notification is submitted to the respective committees in the legislature to hold a committee hearing on the proposed compact amendments. In this case, the hearings for both Port Gamble and Upper Skagit's amendments were heard as a joint legislative committee hearing on December 19th with the House State Government and Tribal Relations Committee and the Senate Business, Trade, and Economic Development Committee. Then today, both compacts for Port Gamble and Upper Skagit will respectively be heard before you, Commissioners and Ex-Officios, today, and you will take public comments through this process today and then decide through your votes of both Ex-Officios and the Commissioners to decide whether to recommend that this compact amendment, these respective compact amendments, move forward to the governors for further review and approval, or to refer back to me for further negotiations. So with that, you don't have any questions for me, I'll turn the presentation over to the Honorable Amber Caldera, who is the chairwoman for the Port Gamble S'Klallam Tribe. We can go to the next slide.
Good morning. My name's not Amber Caldera. I am honored to be here today on behalf of Chairwoman Caldera. My name is Corey Hinton. I am an attorney for the Port Gamble S'Klallam Tribe and have been involved in the compact amendment process. And again, I'm honored to be here today on behalf of Chairwoman Caldera. And thank you very much to Johnny for the introduction and to members of the committee for having me, or to the commission for having me here today. Next slide, please. In S'Klallam, in the Port Gamble S'Klallam language, the S'Klallams are the strong people. For thousands of years, the Port Gamble S'Klallam people have lived in seasonal and permanent villages around and beyond the borders of the Olympic Peninsula. Currently, the community's land base is focused on the Kitsap Peninsula. The community continues to be very active in engaging throughout the community's traditional hunting and fishing grounds and practices, which are enshrined and protected in the 1855 Point No Point Treaty. Excuse me. Next slide, please. The Port Gamble S'Klallam Tribe is governed by a 6-person tribal council. And within the Port Gamble S'Klallam tribal governing structure, Chair Caldera is the head of the tribal council. She's unable to be here today. Chair Caldera also sits on the board for the tribe's Economic Development Corporation, Nucleate Investments, addressed in a later slide, which manages the tribe's gaming operations. Next slide, please. The Port Gamble S'Klallam land base in total is just a little bit over 3,000 acres. The reservation, I don't want to call it the original reservation, but the lands that were reserved in the 1855 treaty are what you see in the yellow boxed area, sort of in the middle of your screen there. The reservation land base at present is about 1,700 acres, and those are lands that are held in a protected status pursuant to the 1855 treaty. In addition to those lands, the tribe has approximately 61 acres of lands that are technically owned by the United States but held in trust for the benefit of the Port Gamble S'Klallam tribe. The tribe also owns around 1,300 acres, which are not in reservation or in trust status, but are still owned by the tribe and are held in what we call fee status. Next slide, please. For Port Gamble S'Klallam tribe, gaming revenue is governmental revenue. Without a doubt, the tribe's gaming operations are the most significant economic engine within the tribal economy, and this economic engine delivers funds which immediately are used to supplement and support the government budget, really delivering key critical services in the areas of healthcare, education, culture, language, housing, infrastructure, natural resources, and community investment. And we have slides that follow to sort of provide more details on how specifically gaming revenues are utilized in those areas. It's important to note, you'll see a sort of common theme here throughout the slides that follow, is that the benefits of gaming to the Port Gamble S'Klallam tribe are very much felt beyond the borders of the reservation and beyond the tribal land base to the surrounding community through employment and direct support through grants and things like that. Next slide, please. There are currently more than 1,500 citizens of the Port Gamble S'Klallam tribe. The main occupations or sort of ways that tribal members are employed are through the tribal government itself. Many are individual fishers who exercise the tribe's treaty fishing rights and really own and operate their own fishing enterprises, relying on their treaty fishing rights. Many tribal members are also employed through the gaming operation and in other local area businesses. Even though the tribe has only 1,500 members, the tribe is a major employer within the Kitsap County region. The tribe employs over 800 individuals. Many of those people are non-tribal members. And I think that's really important to note. That's a very large employment base, and many of those folks are from the community, but not members of the tribe itself. The employees that work within this number are many of them are working for the tribal government, but many are also working across a variety of enterprises that the tribe owns and operates. This includes, of course, the casino, the hotel that the tribe operates, which is connected to the casino. The tribe operates, and you'll see a little bit more on some other slides, but a botanical garden, convenience stores, and a couple of other important businesses. Minder Meats is an important example of a business the tribe just acquired that employs, I believe, almost exclusively non-tribal members up till very, very recently. These are jobs that are not just contributing to the tribe's economy, but to the broader healthy economy in Kitsap County, and we feel very proud of those contributions. Next slide, please. The tribe's community health center, since it's been opened in 2022, is just an amazing beacon of what strong community public health service can look like. The community provides convenient access for a wide range of providers under one roof, so that tribal members can spend less time worrying about getting shuttles to and from appointments with specialists all over. This is intended to bring those barriers down to ensure that tribal members can achieve and receive their medical needs, see them addressed in their own community. And other people that are serviced within this health center include staff of the government, employees, and their family members. So there are non-tribal members that are also serviced at this health center because of their relationship with the tribe. As a part of the tribe's healthcare partnerships, the tribes develop partnerships with other local agencies. So, for example, trying to collaborate with a local dog therapy service, trying to ensure that the tribe is a part of local blood drive initiatives, community drives around breast cancer screenings, for example. The health center tends to engage in what are broader regional efforts to ensure that we're a part of really the rising tide that's helping to lift public health metrics across the region as a whole. The health center, in particular, in terms of the services that we're providing, and sort of go beyond what sort of you might maybe expect from primary care services. And a lot of this is specifically driven through gaming revenues. Indian Health Service, federal government's not really providing funds for these things, but through gaming revenues, increased funding has allowed the tribe to be able to offer an expanded range of services. So specialty services like acupuncture, chiropractic services, massage therapy, big fan of massage therapy right here. Services like that, specialty services, are being able to be funded through gaming revenues. The tribe is in the process of using gaming revenues to complete an on-site pharmacy as well, which is something we're very excited about. Next slide, please. Housing. The tribe operates its own housing authority, which is essentially responsible for ensuring safe and affordable housing opportunities for all tribal members. This is the type of entity that will receive some funds from the federal government, but really it's gaming revenues that the tribe is able to dedicate to the housing authority that supplement what we receive and really ensures that the tribe's able to deliver the great stuff like you see here on your screen. So right here on your screen, these are pictures from the first two phases of what's referred to as the Warrior Ridge Project. This was a housing project that the tribe's been working on for a number of years now. It's specifically focused on providing on trust land housing for tribal members, many of whom are elders. The second phase included 30 units. And again, many of those are for tribal members. And for some people, these are opportunities to have, new housing on tribal lands for the first time, maybe ever for some folks. So this is something that the tribe is very excited about. And I think it's safe to say that a significant portion of those 30 units in that phase 2 of Warrior Ridge were supported through governmental revenues generated by gaming. But outside of that, the Housing Authority also, through utilizing governmental gaming revenues, is able to provide things like down payment assistance to support tribal member home ownership, rental move-in assistance to help people, obviously like moving in and out, sometimes renting the U-Haul, paying the security deposit, it can be expensive. So the tribe supports that. also provides home repair assistance for folks who sometimes can't qualify for HUD programs and other programs that might be available through, other regional or federal type of programs. Next slide, please. Education, culture, and language. The tribe's extremely proud of the work that it's been doing in these spaces, particularly utilizing governmental gaming revenues. At this point, the tribe is able to provide scholarships, whether it's higher education, vocational training, or just technical certifications. The tribe can provide scholarships to enrolled tribal members that are pursuing any of those kinds of education opportunities, not just higher education, all kinds of adult education, continuing education opportunities. And this is something that's available for all tribal members who have that interest. The tribe has also recently dedicated a lot to after-school tutoring. And that program, which is largely supported by governmental gaming revenues, has seen record-breaking attendance. The tribe recently hired additional tutors and mentors, and so that's expanding in a way that the students are responding really well to. Attendance is at its all-time high, and that's just really great to see. On the culture and language side, the Port Campbell Slalom language has seen a revitalization of recently, and a lot of this is due to support that the tribe's able to provide to language programs because of governmental revenues. As an example, if you're traveling through the reservation, you will see street signs, not just in English, but also in Slalom. You will also be able to now go out there and I don't know if it's necessarily available, on purchase on the internet, but there is a written comprehensive Slalom language dictionary. Stuff like that wasn't possible maybe a few decades ago, and it's really the maturation of the tribe's gaming economy that's allowed that type of deep investment to occur, and it's just really exciting to have a language dictionary. The tribe's also doing wonderful things around early childhood education. There's a wonderful Head Start program supported with governmental gaming revenues. And through those kinds of early education programs, the tribe is offering cultural activities, lessons on things like food preparation, food gathering, and trying to really ensure that our Head Start programs, early education programs, have the best, safest equipment possible, ensuring healthy environments for future generations. Next slide, please. As one could probably imagine, for a marine resource-oriented community, protection of the Port Campbell Bay and just overall protection and dedication to increased environmental quality, these are just absolute critical priorities for the tribe. The tribe has put a significant amount of time of late, and a lot of this has been utilizing some governmental gaming revenues to restore the formal mill site at Port Campbell. The tribe's very proud of efforts to restore the environment really in our own backyard. And this is work that's been really unfolding over the last couple of years. There's been significant work that's gone into helping to clean up Port Campbell Bay. There's a bunch of environmental partners and neighboring communities that are a part of that. So, it's really, truly a sort of multi-stakeholder effort, not just in the shoreline, but bay-wide. And the tribe's very proud to be an important partner, we feel, in that work. And all of that's continuing. The state is a partner in that work. And what we're really hoping to do is to bring back and enable future opportunities for greater access to recreation on the shoreline, restoring the beach for fish, for salmon, for native species. And on that note, just a note on European green crabs and capturing those and trying to focus on, healthy native species and not some that potentially destructive invasive species. Self-sufficiency funds that the tribe's dedicated from gaming revenues have supported literally the monitoring and the removal of the invasive European green crab, and ensuring that these are really in particular being removed from places like Port Campbell Bay. This is a key focus of the tribe, trying to keep those numbers low so that native populations of fish that are key to our identity are able to rebound in ways that are really sustainable for the whole community, Port Campbell Slalom community and beyond. Next slide, please. The tribe's community investment and engagement highlights are really exciting and kind of fun. The tribe has, for a number of years, been investing in a number of ways into the community through direct grants and participating in broader grant initiatives. Next slide, please. Here in particular are a couple of examples. And hold on, I think I've got to slide through some. So on the left here, so through our community investment grant program, we provided grants to school districts. So trying to help, be a part of a broader fundraising effort, Meals on Wheels on very granular levels. But these couple of projects are really important to highlight. On the left, through the Peninsula Service PSO Bluebills program that the tribe contributes to, this is a picture of a newly built well house. A low-income elderly woman had been living in Kitsap County for 4 years with no running water. Very unfortunately, after a storm caused a tree to fall and destroy her well house. Through the tribe's community investment funds, the Bluebills were able to build that woman a new pump house, and we're working to get a new well installed so she can have water flowing again. It's just, one of those things that's like really huge in somebody's life, but a drop in the bucket in the grand scheme of things. This is something, these kinds of stories are out there, and we're really happy about them. On the right, this is another example of a Bluebills project where there's an ADA wheelchair ramp that's being built for a low-income Bremerton individual who needed some support to be able to continue to live in their home. And so this is a ramp to be able to help with that. Next slide, please. Well, with that, thank you very much. I'm happy to answer any questions. I just want to close by saying thank you very much to the Commission, to the Governor's office, and to everybody here for listening and for the support with amendments and updating the Port Campbell Slalom Gaming Compact so the tribe can continue to deliver for the Slalom community and the Kitsap region community and the state as a whole. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Are there any questions from the commissioners? Anyone online? Okay. Moving on to Johnny Bray, Tribal Relations Advisor.
Hello. Hello and good morning. For the record, my name is Johnny Bray. I'm the Tribal Relations Advisor for the Washington State Gambling Commission. As such, I am a member of the Director Griffin's negotiations team, and it is my honor to present the culmination of the work that we have done with the Port Campbell Slalom tribe that has resulted in their proposed compact amendment, which will be their 5th amendment upon approval. Likewise, I am honored to, I will follow up with the completed amendments for the Upper Skagit tribe. Next slide. So this is the summary of the compact changes for the Port Campbell Slalom tribe. This is Appendix F, as in Frank. It addresses limitations, which includes the extension of credit and higher wager limitations. Similar to other tribes, it increases gaming stations, player terminals, language for a second facility. In addition, they have opted to implement Appendix G, which is similar to Stillaguamish's ETG appendix. You will note similar changes to the compact relating to both appendices, which are needed to carry these changes into effect. Next slide. That's, unless there are any questions, I tried to keep it very short and sweet.
Okay, Johnny, is your presentation concluded?
As far as what the summary of the changes are, that is everything.
Okay.
So the next part is just the next steps. We take public comments, and I will note at this point that we have not received any public comment specific. We have been accepting public comment since we published notice that we have entered a tentative agreement with the Port Gamble tribe. And though we have not received any public comments specifically relating to the Port Gamble tribe, we did receive a comment that was not specifically related to the Port Gamble tribe. It relates to tribal compacts in general. Please refer to page 40 in your packet for more details. And aside from that, there hasn't been any additional comment on this. So at this point, the next step would be to either vote to forward this to the governor or to return this to the director for further negotiations.
Are there any further questions or discussion from the commissioners? Seeing none, we will now close the public hearing and take motions.
I'd like to move that we forward this compact to the governor's office.
Second.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. The motion has been moved by Commissioner Charles and seconded by Commissioner Skartvedt. Director Griffin, would you like to take a roll call vote?
Yes, thank you, Vice Chair. Vice Chair,
Yes.
Commissioner Charles,
Approved.
Commissioner Skartvedt,
Approved.
Senator Conway.
Senator Conway approves the compact
Thank you.
changes.
Senator Holy. Representative Kloba.
I approve.
Representative Waters. Chair Levy.
Approved, thanks.
Vice Chair passes with 6 approves. 6-0.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Director Griffin, and thank you very much to the Port Gallum-Slalom Tribe. Moving on to the Upper Skagit Indian Tribe Compact Amendment hearing.
If I may, I would like to introduce David Hawkins, who will be presenting on behalf of the Upper Skagit Indian Tribe.
Okay.
Good
Mr. Hawkins,
morning.
are you on?
I am.
Okay, great.
Good
Please
morning.
proceed.
I'd like to thank the Commission for giving Upper Skagit the opportunity to present its request today for its amendment to its current compact. As I was listening to my colleague from Port Gamble speak, it caused me to reflect on why are we actually here, and the fundamental principle of the government-to-government relationship that allows for these proceedings to occur and for us to engage in gaming in the state of Washington. And as I was listening to his report and his description of all of the wonderful things that Port Gamble's doing, it's just reflective of how governments, when given the opportunity to be recognized and the ability as sovereigns to provide for their membership, the really great things they can do. And so I'm going to go through this presentation for the sake of brevity and, trying to get this done in time for Senator Conway to be able to vote. I will go as quickly as I can. But you'll have to indulge me a little bit, because when we're talking about tribes, it's often important to understand some of the history that has brought us to where we are today.
Mr. Hawkins, we do have a quorum or a majority of 5 to be
Okay.
able to vote on the compact amendment.
Okay.
So as much as we treasured Senator Conway, his vote may not necessarily be necessary in order to have a decision on the compact amendment.
Understood, but I still, out of respect, would like to try to allow him to participate.
I'm so sorry. I appreciate your sensitivity to that, but I am supportive also of your compact changes. So thank you.
Thank you, Senator. As with Port Gamble, Upper Skagit, the predecessor bands to Upper Skagit entered into a treaty in 1855. That was the Point Elliott Treaty. At that time, they reserved certain rights, obviously fishing, hunting, gathering, amongst other things. Upper Skagit was the Aboriginal bands. There are 11 Aboriginal bands that Upper Skagit was the successors in interest to. They were supposed to go to what was then deemed to be the Swinomish Reservation, but they elected not to do that. Some of the members went, but that was not an area that they were really familiar with or from. They were bands that traveled throughout the Upper Skagit Basin down into Puget Sound, fished in saltwater and upriver, hunted upriver, but they were used to being able to kind of roam that entire area and did not really take to the reservation. And so they were ultimately landless, technically, until 1970s, when they were in receipt of funds from the Indian Claims Commission. The Indian Claims Commission was set up to try to provide some equity to the lands that were ceded by tribes during the treaty negotiations. And those funds allowed Upper Skagit to purchase what is now its reservation, and which the casino sits on, in which it has a residential community that allows for a number of households to reside on and be in their home territory on their own reservation. There's approximately 1,500 members, and in 1995, pursuant to the compact negotiations and IGRA, the passage of IGRA, it opened up the Skagit Valley Casino Resort. Next slide. So here's a little bit of the background that I was referencing. In 1855, the Treaty of Point Elliott, wherein the tribe reserved specific rights, primary among them fishing, hunting, gathering. This date, 1924, is important. I'll discuss it as we talk about what the funding has allowed us to do and natural resources. But tribal members were not even permitted to vote until 1924, which, dramatically impacted their capacity to protect the rights that they had retained through the Treaty of Point Elliott and to exercise their standing as sovereigns. 1934 was the Indian Reorganization Act, which facilitated it's kind of an effort by the federal government at that time to create a governmental structure akin to what Western governments functioned under, particularly as it pertains to constitution and processes that the federal government thought would allow them to better engage with the tribes at that time. Shortly thereafter, the termination period began under Eisenhower, wherein the federal government essentially took the position that tribes really no longer needed to be sovereigns, that they should just assimilate into the United States and be part of the overall federal and state governments. That was fortunately basically ended under Nixon, surprisingly, and Johnson. And in 1975, the Indian Self-Determination Act was passed, which recognized tribes as their own sovereign governments, but also provided a platform for them to formally engage with the federal government in order to receive funding to support basic governmental functions. When we were talking about health services, that's a perfect example. The Indian Self-Determination Act provides an obligation on the federal government to provide funding for health services. It provides an obligation in education. There's a number of different services that act obligates the federal government to provide funding for. Unfortunately, that funding is often insufficient to meet the needs of the tribes, and that's where the enactment of IGRA really has been of tremendous assistance to many tribes throughout the country, but in particular for Upper Skagit, because it's allowed us an opportunity to engage in economic activity, i.e. gaming, to meet a lot of the services that are required for our members that we were not being funded adequately for through the Indian Self-Determination Act. Next slide. So that IGRA requires the state and the tribes to engage in negotiations to establish how the tribes are going to function as a gaming entity. And Upper Skagit, with a number of other tribes, engaged in those negotiations, and we entered into a gaming compact in 1992. I have to apologize. I know pronouns are they're important these days, and when I say we, I am not a tribal member. I've represented a tribe for about 25 years, so sometimes I get a little loose with my language, but please forgive me for that. In 1998, Appendix X was negotiated, and Upper Skagit signed off, and it was approved by the state. This was really a major step forward, because that's when tribal lottery systems, what most people think of as slot machines, they're really not slot machines because they're not random number generators, but that's when the tribal lottery systems came into place. And while we had table games previously, the TLS systems really what brought the revenues significantly higher for all tribes. And then X2 allowed us to increase the number of tribal lottery systems, and in 2005 that number of machines was increased substantially. I'm sorry, 2015. Next slide, please. So the impact of gaming, I touched on a little bit previously, but it provides I would say over 50% of the tribe's revenue for its government services. We do direct services that are solely based upon the gaming revenue. Those are nutrition support programs wherein we provide funding for our members to get their groceries and to get their daily needs for their diet. We have education assistance programs, K through 12, where we pay fees for all of the kids, when they need school supplies, or they need gear for sports, or they have to pay a fee for a trip to, educational trip. And then for higher ed, the tribe provides a scholarship to anybody who is accepted into a university equal to 1 year tuition at the University of Washington. The tribe will pay that until they get their degree, whether that be 4 years, 5 years, or what have you. And we also have a down payment assistance program that furthers home ownership, allows our members to receive a grant, which after 5 years of living in the residence is forgiven. Next slide. So the Tribes Casino provides over 300 jobs to the local community. As with most casinos, most of those jobs are held by non-tribal members, just as my colleague at Port Gamble stated. The tribe contributes to a number of charities throughout the county. There will be a little story about that in this presentation coming up. And even though we're not obligated to, because as a result of the revenues that gaming has generated, we've been able to build up our law enforcement, and it provides first response and primary response to all incidents at the casino. We still provide Skagit County Sheriff's Department with over $100,000 a year, just as a matter of being, good neighbors. Next slide. So before I get to this, one of the things that I mentioned back at the historic review was in 1924. That was when members had the legal right to vote. Upper Skagit is based in the Upper Skagit Basin, and the Skagit River really is the lifeblood of the Aboriginal bands to what is now the Upper Skagit tribe. Its place of creation, in fact, is part of the river. And in 1921, 3 years before the members could even vote, Seattle City Light initiated what's called its Skagit Electric Project, hydroelectric project, and eventually put 3 dams on the Skagit, which provides the city with over 20% of its electricity, and also allows it to sell to the market to purchase electricity for its citizens at a much lower price than they would be able to generate it, the cost of the generation. And so the dams have caused just a tremendous impact on the fishery resource. And the tribe has recently, over the past 7 years, been in negotiations with City Light. And I believe that we have finally reached a settlement with all the federal agencies and with the city. Hopefully, the end of this month, the first of next month, there'll be news releases about that. It's a multi-billion-dollar settlement. But for the financing that or the funding that the tribe receives through gaming, we would not have been able to retain the experts necessary to finally right some of these truly horrific, historic wrongs that the tribe has suffered through as a result of the impacts that these dams have had. And I can't emphasize enough how important that is to the tribe's culture, to its future, and to its very identity, because as I said, its place of creation has been desecrated over the past 100 years because of these dams, and we were finally able, through very difficult negotiations, to receive significant mitigations for those impacts. Next slide. So this is just for the record an example, a recent story in the Skagit Valley Herald about what Upper Skagit did this year for one of its funds charities that it provides funding to. Next slide. So to kind of get more to the granular as it pertains to this particular amendment that we're requesting, right now Upper Skagit's the only casino in its competitive market that doesn't have table games, electronic table games. That's at the heart of what we're requesting. There are some small little changes that are rather insignificant, but the heart of our request is to allow Upper Skagit to have electronic table games in order to stay competitive in its market. Next slide, please. So that is it. I'm happy to take any questions.
Do any of the commissioners or ex-officios have any questions for Mr. Hawkins? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move on to Johnny Bray, Tribal Relations Advisor.
Next slide. So it is, again, my honor to present the fruition of the work that we have done with the Upper Skagit Tribe, which has resulted in this proposed compact amendment, which is their 6th amendment upon approval. This is the summary of the compact changes. Again, the compact amendments needed to affect the implementation of these amendments. The removal of smoking cessation contributions from X2, amendment to the compact section 14 to address air quality, and adoption of Appendix G in a manner very similar to that addressed in the previous slides for Port Gamble and in previous presentations for Lummi, Stillaguamish, and other tribes. Next, yeah. And again, I will just mention for the record that during the period since we posted notice of the tentative agreement in this case, we did receive the one public comment that did not relate specifically to the Upper Skagit Tribe that is noted in your packet on page 40. It relates to tribal compacts in general, but not specifically to the Upper Skagit Tribe. We have not received any other public comment. So at this point, we're at that stage where we can vote on Upper Skagit's compact amendments to either forward this to the governor or vote to return this to the director for further negotiations.
Okay. Are there any further questions or discussion from the commissioners or ex officio? Okay. Seeing none, I'd like to thank Mr. Hawkins and the Upper Skagit Indian Tribe for your presentation today. We'll now close the public hearing and take motions.
I move we forward the proposed compact amendment for the Upper Skagit Indian Tribe to the governor for review and final execution.
Seconded.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Skartvedt and seconded by Commissioner Charles. Director Griffin, would you like to take a roll call vote?
Yes, Vice Chair. Vice Chair,
Approve?
Commissioner Charles,
Approve.
Commissioner Skartvedt,
Approve.
Senator Conway, Senator Holy, Representative Kloba,
Approved.
Representative Waters, Chair Levy.
Approved.
Vice Chair, it passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you very much. At this time, we would like to take a 10-minute break. The time is now 10:25. We will be on a break until 10:35 and come back and address tab 2. Thank you. All right, we are now back from our break. We have a quorum of commissioners in the room, so we do not need to take a roll call at this point. At this time, I'd like to move on to tab 2, the consent agenda. Do I have a motion from the commissioners to approve the consent agenda?
Yeah, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented by staff.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by Commissioner Charles and seconded by Commissioner Skartvedt. Take a vote. All of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? That would be none because we had 4 ayes. So the motion passes. Moving on to the Executive Director's report.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We're going to get a slide put on the screen here. Thank you. We are getting closer to implementing our IT project, which is called Polaris. I'm sure many of you know about that. So we anticipate a launch date for sometime early spring of 26. Will be, yes, yay, the crowd's going wild here. We'll post the dates and the details as we get closer, as we have more certainty of the dates and timelines. We do urge our tribal partners and applicants and licensees to, as you prepare for the changes that are coming to My Account, so if you're a user of My Account, we urge you to watch the demonstration videos that we have posted on our website. And if you haven't already, sign up for email updates, and you can get to those demonstration videos by using the QR code, or if you get this packet through the website, you can click on those links and it will take you to those various demonstration videos, which we have cut up into little short segments based on topics. So just trying to make it easier for users to engage and get the information that they need. And so our Polaris web page on our website, we have a Polaris web page. It details the benefits that applicants, licensees, and our tribal partners can expect from implementation of Polaris. And we're going to start giving you notice soon, and this is the first time, that prior to going live, we will need to shut down our licensing activity for about a week as we make the software cutover. And so we will be very cognizant about posting those dates and timelines in advance so that everybody can make preparation for making sure they get the licenses that they need and what those gaps may be. So please make sure you sign up for email updates through our website and be monitoring our website and emails, and stay tuned. Feel free to reach out, but we will get the information out as soon as we have more clarity with it. And that slide can stay up while we go ahead and I just give you an update on a few other things. On December 9th, the Commission did issue guidance on the prediction markets, which is posted on our website, so you can go and see that. But basically, prediction markets are an unauthorized activity in the state of Washington. The future of prediction markets, which include those for sports, political events, remains a subject of numerous litigation that's ongoing, both at the federal and state level, various states, and we will continue to monitor these ongoing court cases as they progress through the system, and then provide updates on our website and through this further guidance that's posted. And at the next meeting, we will have a presentation on prediction markets. And then I'll also just share that because we do talk at commission meetings quite a bit about illegal online betting, and in Washington, online betting is illegal except for those mobile sports, the tribal entities that have mobile sports wagering on premise. But Facebook and Instagram implemented tighter advertising restrictions or standards for those entities wishing to advertise on their sites. So what that looks like in terms of the new rules is that they may require advertisers to submit additional documents such as gaming licenses or other documentation proving that the services that they offer are compliant with the specific jurisdictions that they wish to advertise in, or where those ads are going to be placed. So this is a significant change, and with Meta, the Gambling Commission did issue Meta a cease and desist letter for fraudulent advertising in March of 25. So, and the advertising, I should say, is specific to real money wagering games, like iGaming, poker, and sports betting. So that's all I have for you today. Any questions?
Looks like Representative Kleba has her hand up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The I appreciate the work that the Gambling Commission is doing with regard to these prediction markets, and I understand that, you know, it looks one way from the individual user, but the law looks at it in different ways that perhaps are at this moment confusing. So I appreciate that there's ongoing litigation happening, you know, state and national level around the country. And I know that, particularly as you mentioned, advertising, I think the Gambling Commission has been getting some complaints from consumers who, you know, it's presented as investments, and then it feels like gambling, and so they connect with the Gambling Commission to make complaints. But I also think that depending on who the individual is, they might think about contacting the Attorney General, because you know, that would seem like a, you know, fraudulent advertising scheme. And so I'm wondering if sorry, that was a long lead up. I'm wondering if we could hear from our Assistant Attorney General about, like, what is it that we could learn from the AG's office about what kind of complaints they're getting, and you know, if they've got any advisory opinions on it. I want to look at it from another perspective, and I'm wondering if we could find that out.
Of course. Hi, Representative Klova. This is Assistant Attorney General Suzanne Becker. So to answer your second question first, regarding any advisory opinions, the Attorney General's office has not issued a formal or informal opinion at this time that I'm aware of on the prediction markets or the advertising related to them. I would like to note that information about the Attorney General opinions is on our website, all right, and can be accessed by anybody. However, members of the state legislature can certainly request either a formal or informal AGO opinion on this, and can certainly frame your question for the Attorney General's office there. I would just note, AG opinions, of course, are formal opinions are posted on our website. Letter opinions similarly do not have AC privilege or attorney-client privilege associated with them. And I'm just purely looking at our website here. I would also note that the Attorney General's office does generally consider questions related to issues in litigation and questions seeking interpretation of purely federal law as typically not appropriate for an AG opinion, but what I'm hearing is sort of a mixed, potentially a mixed question from you, so that might need some further evaluation depending upon the specific question posed to the office. Regarding communications to our office, I am probably not the best person to sort of communicate with you about that. You're asking about, in some ways, questions that would go to another division, our Consumer Protection Division, and they do routinely look at and get questions from constituents regarding unfair or deceptive business practices. I can say that I at least have shared, we received one question about the prediction market that came to me for answer, and that was shared with the Gambling Commission. That is the only one that I can report on off without doing more research in the office. Okay. So,
well, I appreciate that answer. That is helpful. I certainly didn't expect that you would have, you know, an encyclopedia of every complaint ever received by the AG. So, yeah, but it sounds to me like perhaps the next step would be for me to check in with the AG about, you know, getting any information I can about this. I think that the third way that I'm going to be looking into it is, you know, we have a Department of Financial Institutions, and they do regulate a variety of financial tools in this state. And so I think that's another area of approach to find out, you know, what are they hearing? Are they getting reports? You know, what is in their purview, what are the tools that they might be able to bring to bear. So anyways, I appreciate that. Thank you very much for allowing that discussion. Thank you, Suzanne.
Of course.
Can I address Representative Kloba? Is that cool? Good. Thanks, Representative Kloba. Appreciate that insight. I was wondering, I think there's multiple of us commissioners that would be interested in engaging on this with you as well. I don't know if it's in our authority, but I'd like to propose like a work group with the commissioners and the ex-officios to put our heads together in some like consolidated time to come up with some policy thoughts around this. So just, I wanted to put that out there. I don't know if that's an option or even something we can do, but I would like to just suggest that because I have great interest in also kind of figuring this tricky situation out. So whatever insight you could provide around that would be helpful. Tina.
Okay. It looks like Chair Levy has her hand raised.
Hi, yeah, I was just going to say something similar, Representative Kloba. If there's anything that the commission can do to help, I would be interested in anything like that. If you, if you have any ideas or something, I think a lot of the commissioners are interested in this topic, even if it's kind of new and fast moving. So whatever however we can support you, or if you or whatever, let us know.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. We'll follow up.
Director Griffin?
Thank you. So we intended to give a presentation at the next meeting, and so we'll just wait. Do you, for next meeting, should we turn it into a work group? Is that what I'm hearing? Or should we start with a presentation and see how that? I'm just looking for direction from the commissioners and chair. Yes.
Yeah, I think, go ahead, Chair Levy.
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say I met with Rep. Kloba yesterday, and I did hear this presentation by one of our agents, and I did think it was very helpful and probably a really good starting point on this topic. So I think that might be good to kind of, to get more information out there and let the commissioners have a better understanding, I think, before we kind of pick what we want to do. But, that's just my thoughts.
I agree with Chair Levy. I would prefer that we wait until the February commission meeting where we're going to have a presentation on this before we decide on any one particular course of action, especially since there is pending litigation that's going on and we don't, the landscape might look different in February than it does now. Thank you. All right. With that, I think we are ready to move on to tab 3, the legislative report with Tricia Gullion.
Good morning. Tricia Gullion, Legislative and Rules Manager with a legislative update. It is January, and that means on Monday, the legislature will convene for a 60-day short session. As I mentioned in the legislative memo in your packet, this is a short session, and the legislature will be prioritizing the state's budget shortfall this year. Last month, Governor Ferguson did release his supplemental operating budget. In it, there were no reductions to the Gambling Commission. However, we did incur a $343,000 increase to central services. Additionally, in your packet, you will find a new bill that was introduced related to gambling. House Bill 2205 would allow for in-state collegiate sports wagering. Additionally, in the language, there is a prohibition on athletic prop bets, meaning you cannot place a wager on the performance of a Washington College athlete. The last piece includes a provision which would allow for sports wagers to be placed at one tribal facility, while the server or a hub could be located at another tribal facility. This bill will be heard in the House State Government and Tribal Relations Committee next Friday. Would the commissioners like to take a position on House Bill 2205?
Any comments or discussion from the commissioners?
Just to be clear that the bill does outlaw gambling on like players, prop bets, those kind of things. Cool.
Okay,
Yes.
we have a question. Representative Klova.
Yes, I know you solicited opinions from the commissioners, and I just wanted to know, is it appropriate for me to relate some information as well?
I think so at this time. Yeah, I think that's fine.
Just wanted to, did not want to speak out of turn. I think that it's something that the commissioners should probably take under consideration is that with the combination of the name, image, and likeness, which is one of the ways that athletes, and particularly in the college arena where they weren't allowed to do this before, are very invested in creating a brand and marketing themselves, because that's how they get, you know, the sponsorships and things like that. And it's a pretty limited time window, and so they're very intent on doing that. And that often means they tend their social media presence pretty intensely. And as a student athlete, they also then are in states where local folks can bet on the local collegiate athletics competitions and athletes and specific in-game prop bets. We're seeing a huge amount of harassment, threats, intimidating behavior, really just nastiness on their social media and in other places that I think if you are allowing that betting here in this state on collegiate teams, that would only increase. And so I do have a concern about that, and I would like you to, you know, as you're considering all the information with regard to taking a position on that bill, I would hope you would think about that. So thank you.
Chair Levy?
I would certainly oppose this bill just based on what Representative Klova said. I've read many of the stories as well about the harassment that college athletes get, and if they're in your same state, you know, particularly like a place like Spokane that might be a little smaller, we run into some of these athletes out in restaurants and stuff regularly. And if someone lost a bet on one, I just think that, you know, that could be really terrible. You know, you have a greater chance. I don't necessarily support betting on college athletes at all, but at least if they're doing it from Washington on an athlete in another state, it's less likely they're going to run into them somewhere, right? Where I think that having it in the same state just increases that likelihood of that and could be very problematic.
Commissioner Charles?
Yeah, I am. So I think that's why I asked my question about the prop bets and the individual athletes, is because, I mean, to some extent, in my own viewing of this, it feels like it shields those individual athletes in some extent if they're not betting on the individual athletes. And also, to me, it just feels a little bit hypocritical in the name and image and likeness piece, and that they're able to make money off of being public, but then not also taking public scrutiny to go along with it. So to me, it just feels like being in the public and being a public person, they're already getting feedback if they lose or if they don't do well. Like, I don't think that's dependent on whether people have gambled or not on them. And I don't know, it's this kind of the same, to me, the same thing going on in professional athletics. It's very similar. So I don't know. I think that, to me, with the name, image, and likeness, it actually makes me more in favor of this bill personally. So that's my own opinion.
Yeah, I just want to clarify that, yeah, there is that prohibition on the performance of the Washington collegiate athletes. Sorry, I want to make that clear.
All right. With that, there does not appear to be any particular direction one way or the other as to whether or not the commission would like to support or oppose the bill. Historically, I know that the commission has not taken a position on legislation that either authorizes or does not authorize any particular type of gambling with the legislature. And so with that, I think we will move on to tab 4. Thank you, Tricia.
Yep.
All right, tab 4, defaults. Is there a commission staff member who is presenting on this? Oh, yes.
Yes, Vice Chair.
Hi,
Well,
Adam.
good morning. For the record, my name is Adam Amrine. I am the Commission's Legal and Records Manager. This morning, I have 2 defaults to present, starting with Sean Weintraub. The Washington State Gambling Commission received an application for a public cardroom employee license from Mr. Weintraub on May 27, 2025. Weintraub was previously licensed by WSGC, having held a public cardroom employee license since July 2001. Weintraub generally renewed this license annually until allowing it to lapse in July of 2023 when he failed to submit a renewal application. WSGC also issued SK23 Investments, which did business as Hollywood Cardroom, a license authorizing social and public cardroom activity in Shoreline, Washington. Weintraub was the owner and manager of Hollywood Cardroom. In a notice of administrative charges dated June 24, 2024, WSGC sought revocation of Hollywood Cardroom's license due to several violations. Specifically, WSGC alleged that Hollywood Cardroom and Weintraub as owner had committed violations related to making false or misleading statements, failing to produce records, misrepresenting material facts, demonstrating willful disregard for complying with Commission rules, using unlicensed gambling services, failing to pay quarterly license reports, failing to report material changes, and having insufficient cash on hand to pay prizes. The charges were mailed by regular mail on June 25th, 2024 to Hollywood Cardroom's last known address on file. Pursuant to WAC 230-17010, a response was required to be received by the Commission by July 19th, 2024. WSGC did not receive a response by that date, and WSGC commissioners issued a final order revoking the cardroom license for Hollywood Cardroom during a public commission meeting on August 8, 2024. Based on this history, WSGC Director Tina Griffin issued a notice of application denial to Mr. Weintraub on August 7, 2025. Upon receiving the notice of application denial, Weintraub requested a hearing before an administrative law judge. An ALJ was assigned in the matter, and a pre-hearing conference was set for November 17th, 2025. Weintraub was properly served with the notice of pre-hearing conference, but he failed to attend and participate. Consequently, Weintraub was in default, and his administrative appeal was dismissed in an order dated November 21st, 2025. You may take final action to deny Sean Weintraub's application for a gambling license. Weintraub's past actions as owner of Hollywood Cardroom constitute a sufficient basis for denial of a license under WAC 230-03-085, Parts 1, 3, 5, and 9. RCW 946-075, Parts 1, 7, and 8, and RCW 946-153, Part 1. Staff recommends that the Commission sign the proposed final order and deny Sean Weintraub's gambling license application.
Are there any questions or discussion from the Commissioners? All right, seeing none, we'll take motions.
I move to deny Sean Weintraub's application as presented by staff.
Is there a second?
Recommend.
Right, it's been moved by Commissioner Skartvedt and seconded by Commissioner Charles. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, 4 in favor, none opposed. Motion passes. Moving on to the next default, Adam.
Yes, the Washington State Gambling Commission issued licensee Hoa Huan a public cardroom employee license authorizing employment as a table games dealer at Riverside Casino in Tukwila, Washington. The license, which expires on February 12th, 2026, was issued subject to Huan's compliance with state gambling laws and commission rules. On May 24th, 2025, a WSGC agent received an email from Riverside Casino's assistant general manager reporting a incident of cheating. The email stated that Huan, while working as a table game dealer, colluded with a player to cheat at Face Up Pai Gow. The email also included an incident report completed by the surveillance manager, further detailing the alleged cheating. Specifically, the report detailed 26 hands of Face Up Pai Gow where Huan engaged in suspected collusion with a player. These 26 hands occurred on May 20th, 2025. During each hand that was dealt, Huan spread every other player's cards for verification, except for the player suspected of collusion. Instead, this player set her cards up in her hand so that when placed on the table, one card was concealed. This allowed it to appear that the player had a winning hand when she did not. A WSGC agent reviewed the surveillance videos and confirmed the above incidents of cheating. The total loss to Riverside Casino was estimated to be $13,725. Riverside Casino terminated Huan on May 20th, 2025. Deputy Director Geneva Cotton issued administrative charges on October 9th, 2025, alleging that Huan's above actions violated several parts of the RCW, including RCW 946-196, which defines cheating. The charges alleged that Huan's actions demonstrated disregard for statutes and rules promulgated, and that Huan's actions show that she poses a clear threat to the effective regulation of gambling. WSGC is authorized to revoke Huan's license under RCW 946-075, Parts 1, 2, and 8, WAC 230-03-085, Parts 1, 2, and 9A. Hoa Huan was sent the charges by regular mail on October 14, 2025 to the last address the Gambling Commission had on file. Pursuant to WAC 230-17010, a response was required to be received by the Commission by November 6th, 2025. To this date, the Commission has not received a response from Hoa Huan. You may take final action against Hoa Huan's gambling license. The above incident of cheating demonstrates that the licensee poses a threat to the effective regulation of gambling, as demonstrated by their prior activities. The Commission can take final action against the licensee's gambling license pursuant to RCW 946-075, RCW 34-05-440, RCW 34-05-461, and WAC 230-03-085. Staff recommends that the Commission sign the proposed final order and revoke Hoa Huan's gambling license.
All right. Are there any questions or discussion from the Commission?
Excuse me, Vice Chair, if there is no discussion, we should ask if Hoa Huan is available and attending the meeting.
Okay. Is Hoa Huan available and attending the meeting online? All right. It does not appear that they are. With that, we will close this matter and take motions.
I move to revoke Hoa Huan's gambling license number 68-26855 as presented by staff.
Second.
All right, there's been a motion by Commissioner Charles and a second by Commissioner Skartvedt. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. 4 in favor, none opposed. The motion passes. All right. Moving on to tab 5, petition to initiate rulemaking.
Hi, good morning, Tricia Gallian, Legislative and Rules Manager. 5, there is one petition to initiate rulemaking Petitioner Tony Kane is requesting that the Gambling Commission add clarification to gambling activity definitions in WAC 230 regarding the legality of online and prediction market wagering. The petitioner believes this falls into a gray area not clearly addressed in WAC or RCW definitions. I do want to bring your attention to some policy concerns. Prediction markets and online gambling are not authorized in Washington state. While this does remain the subject of ongoing litigation, our state's Attorney General and the Gambling Commission have clarified that these activities are not authorized in Washington. Additionally, attached in your packet is a press release on this subject. Any questions? Okay. Under the requirements of the Administrative Procedures Act, the Commission must take action on the petition within 60 days of receiving it.
All right, any further questions or discussion from the commissioners? All right, do we have a motion on the petition?
Excuse me. Oh, Vice Chair, should we see if Mr. Kane is present? We didn't see his name on the attendance list, but if you could ask, please.
Sure, is Mr. Kane available online? Does not appear that Mr. Kane is online. And so with that, we will move to motions. Is there a motion?
I move to deny the petition as it's pretty clearly unauthorized in the state, according to staff.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Chair Levy will second. We're in the middle of a vote, right? I can't really make a comment at this point. So.
Make a comment.
I believe you have discussion on the motion and second as it stands.
Okay.
I don't know.
She should take a chair's privilege.
My handbook with me, but I believe that would be an acceptable parliamentary format.
Okay. So my only point is to further state and agree that we can't necessarily amend the WAC according to what petitioners asked for because the change must first come from the legislature under the RCW. And with that, there is a motion from Commissioner Skartvedt to deny because it's outside of the commission's purview. A second from Chair Levy. Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Right, that's 4 in favor, none opposed. The motion passes. All right, this concludes the agenda items for today's meeting. Public comment is encouraged. If you would like to provide public comment at a future meeting, please refer to the public guidelines on the various ways you can provide public comment on meeting topics. You must let us know in advance of the meeting that you wish to provide comment. Written comment must be received by 5 p.m. the day prior to the meeting. The next Gambling Commission meeting will be held on February 12th and 13th at the Liquor and Cannabis Board. It is now 11:12 a.m. and we are adjourned.
Thank you.